to be able to talk to you about Singapore and our foreign policy. I attended. I came to North South University a couple of weeks ago to attend a session on your labor reforms, which was organized by I think one of yes, that's right. Migration, yes, that's right, migration. So, I was very impressed by the facilities, and I was very honored when, Professor Rizwanul Islam invited me to come here and speak today on Singapore's. Tell you a brief outline of what I'm going to talk to you about. I'll start the lecture with some basic realities that Singapore faces as a small state, which are realities that do not change very much over time. And so we have distilled these as realities that we need then to have coping strategies, which is the second point. And then I'll speak about the fundamentals of Singapore's foreign policy, which I think Professor Islam actually mentioned some of those fundamentals. Then I'll move on to talking about how we are an advocate for multilateralism as a small state. That is one of our key features of our foreign policy. And since I'm in Dhaka and I'm in Bangladesh here, I will also share a little bit about our bilateral relations with Bangladesh, what we are trying to achieve with Bangladesh together, both diplomatically and economically. And then after that, we can have a question and answer session. Okay, so I thought I'd begin with some basic realities about Singapore, because I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Singapore. We really, geography really determines large part of our foreign policy. We have a very small size. We are about 700 square kilometers. Our population right now is about 6 million, so much smaller than Bangladesh. Located in Southeast Asia, you'll see just after you look at Malaysia, below Kuala Lumpur, that little dot is Singapore, 700 square kilometers. We lack natural resources, so we get, for example, a lot of our water comes from Malaysia. Actually, 50% of our water comes from Malaysia, but we've managed to become self-sufficient over time, but we still take some water from Malaysia. I can explain a little bit about how we manage our water resources, which may have some relevance also because I understand that Bangladesh also gets some water from India, for example, and how do you manage that kind of a relationship? Then, cultural and historical context also plays a big part of how it shapes our foreign policy. Our ethnic composition. Singapore is a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. We have 70% of us are ethnic Chinese, so they were immigrants from China that eventually found their way to Singapore. A lot of them were laborers, but there were a lot of merchants also. Then you have about 7% or 8% who are from South Asia, actually, Indians. There might have been actually some Bangladeshis as well, who ended up in Singapore many years ago. And the local population of Malays is about I think 12-13% of us in Singapore. The rest are actually people who look a bit like me because I'm of mixed ethnicity. So I'm half Chinese, half European. So you have increasingly a lot of Singaporeans are actually of multiracial. Well,
anytime, every time we go to Singapore, Singapore is actually amazing us in terms of its practice that they have brought into such a short period of time, the history. 1966, they got the independence, and under the leadership of Lee Kuan, the country has changed. Anytime I go to Singapore and anywhere actually, I always talk with the taxi drivers, and they gave the best feedback. And I was asking the taxi driver even yesterday, that tell me the story about the changeover that had happened in terms of the landscape of Singapore, impact in the Malaysian society, that if we keep this small piece of land together, and that changed the whole story of Singapore. Singapore luckily got those value-driven things. They were actually giving heavy focus on nation first, and then family. Singapore also gives huge, focus on family, nations, community, and then, racial and religious harmony. These are something very important for a nation. We being Bangladeshis, we have to learn many things from this small country. Their policy, in terms of the foreign policy, because they are small, they had always the same policy that we are going to be friend of everybody, and they were very successful in terms of keeping relationship with around 180 and more countries, and giving sort of emphasis equally and everybody, and strategically also being able to materialize many things for their security, safety, some deals with Australia, New Zealand, and also Malaysia as a neighboring country. They gave also good priority to the neighboring country.
Mr. Lee, for your excellent presentation. I congratulate you for this presentation. We now look forward to our discussion, to open discussion session. Before I open the floor, I would request some of the participants to make observation intervention, and then we'll make the floor open for you. So you can prepare yourself.
Have a look at the world's map. It's just like a dot. It's nothing but a city-state. Maybe it's like double the size of Dhaka metropolitan city. But that is very deceptive. If we look at the economic might of Singapore, Singapore has one of the highest per capita income in the world. Singapore would have no permanent enemies. And Singapore's foreign policy, as a student of law, but from my basic understanding, Singapore's foreign policy has been very pragmatic, not starry-eyed in any way. And because of its pragmatism and its insistence on the compliance with rule of law and a rule-based world order, Singapore has been able to develop a different kind of stature and has been able to pull much above its weight.